clashes. It's a good old-fashioned 2v2 here.
It's a 2v2 and Illis, the firepower drops down, and the firepower he has. We've seen Illis be a little bit quiet this weekend. His team was up there in 6th place, but Illis drops down in the 1v2. It doesn't even go down to the heal-off. Kreo was on high ground just for the insurance, and Illis goes down, and the Rifler comes out on top. What a big game for our 6th place team, Monster. I wonder how far that's jumped them up, as 3rd was still in it, 2nd was still in it, but I don't know what happened to 1st. Damir in reverse, they went down kind of early.
Yeah, they definitely went down earlier than we expected, and 2nd and 3rd made it super far into that. Acorn falling just before Commandment there, and then, of course, Commandment, the fact he even stood alive. I do believe we're going to have a 3-way race up towards the top. It's going to be real close between them, but more importantly, these other guys stepping up now. Illis, Avery, and Kreo, those are the guys we're going to really have to keep an eye out on. Ozzy, give me your final words.
I mean, we're going to have to keep an eye on them as well. Kanata, Macwood, and Bucky have jumped up there. I don't know. I need to hear Vivid's thoughts as well, because him and me are going backwards and forwards on this one. Take it away, gentlemen.
Vivid, thoughts?
Aussie. Your prediction is looking a little better than mine, but I'm not giving up, and neither are Bucky, Macwood, and Kanata.
Okay, all right. I mean, gentlemen, this last game was insane. There's so much that transpired. I feel like this was like a game of switch-ups. There's so many different things, so many trios we're used to seeing on like certain tarps. We're operating on different tarps. There was people like utilizing double harpoons all over the place. Gentlemen, break this all down for me.
Yeah, so in this game, you know, we've been talking about Commandment, Sent, and Edgy. These guys are normally on this low ground play style. We're about to see that last game we saw them mid ground, but let's take a look at an absolute signature play here. You notice that Scented on the low ground right now, along with the full trio. This is his prime position. And notice the team above. We see Voil and Pandouche. They're just healing up above, and you can see the particles falling down below. And they're marking underneath the floors why. And why may they do this? One harpoon shot, a second one comes in, knocking down Narwhal into the box to hit a nice big one pop. The double harpoon slot that these guys utilize is one of the reasons that they can get so many eliminations on the low ground.
Yeah, and as we see him using the Dragon's Breath shotgun here, we know Scented does a lot of aim training, is very, very good at aiming, and using the shotgun, you know, it's one of the shotguns in the game right now that can actually like take somebody out in just one click without actually having to charge it up. And you know, Scented just puts it to just incredible work here because he just doesn't miss.
He doesn't miss. That's the 3rd time he's been under 10 HP, been one tick to zone, and been able to actually pick up an elimination and get it. He nearly managed to get another one on Zayt in the zone there, so if he managed to get that finished, that would have been 5 eliminations there in that end game. That's such a short period in time. And notice, you're talking about how good he is with his aim and how much he aim trains. There were times where he hit a big 160 tack just to hit that one big shot on opponents there. So clearly their strategy is very well developed and it's very, very consistent throughout the games.
It's just those like micro things, right?
Yeah, micro things. Micro things lead to those big elim points because, as we saw, Scented had 8 of them in that game right there. So he's putting up those elims for his team and making sure that they can rise up the leaderboard, as we can see here.
Wow, I actually thought, I'm not gonna lie, I thought Commandment, Sent, and Edgy would have closed the gap a little bit more over Damir and Reverse there. You know, that seemed like they were gonna take it off, but I guess at that point, Commandment, Sent, and Edgy in that most previous game, you know, we saw Commandment clutch up, he ended up 7th. But, you know, they didn't manage to get as many eliminations, you know, 5. Still absolutely commendable, no doubt. But Damir and Reverse, we saw them go down earlier on 13th. So they got 3 eliminations, so still managed to claim some points. And that's one of the benefits of being a team who has such high potential for eliminations, is that even if you don't go down, you know, with the best placement, 13th isn't, you know, an amazing placement, you're still going to get some eliminations, which means you're going to get those good points coming through regardless.
Yeah, between yesterday and today, Bucky, Kanata, and Macwood have picked up only 12 points over the games that we've seen today, so they are not, you know, performing as well as they should be. They're a lot better than that, and that's why they're my prediction. So hopefully in these last games, you know, they can pick it up and make a race for that #1 spot, so that way, you know, I don't have to listen to Aussie talk all this, you know.
Wow.
No one wants to hear that.
Fired.
Nah, I'm just going to stay on Aussie's side because let's be real, we got the same prediction here. Let's be real. Me and you, we're going to go back and forth. I'm going to have to defend him while he's here, not to defend himself. But, you know, teams that have been trying to perform and defend their position as some of the best teams on the region, you know, see Zayt, Saf, and Stretch. These guys, we've seen them 2 games in a row be on that high ground, trying to defend that slot. And This time, it seems like they overcommitted a little bit too much. We talked a little bit about this and Click's team doing this in the earlier games. However, at this point, they committed way too much, used way too many materials. There was a duo on high ground at this point. We didn't see fully what conspired before that, but at the same time, they're playing this one game style that they have, and hopefully they have a plan for if it doesn't work out in the next coming games.
Yeah, it's promising in terms of their end game play, right? They're finding high ground right now, a lot more than they were yesterday and throughout the weeks that we saw them in. But they're having a lot of trouble off spawn, and the off spawn troubles are causing them to be shambles in that mid game area. As we saw Zay on the broadcast there, he was in a bush with no shield in the mid game, just trying to hide, and ended up bleeding. So that way they had to push a fight and ended up losing one of them, and only were a duo on height.
Well, you know what? This seems like a Vivid versus recent Aussie. So, Aussie, how do you feel about this coming into this next game?
Fantastic about it personally. My team's popping off right now. Centered Edgy Commandment, they're closing that gap. The gap is being brought ever so closer. I love Damir Universe. I want to see him pop off, but all I know, Monster, as a caster, as a fan, as a viewer, you always want a tight leaderboard, and they're inching closer. They're bringing it back.
Yeah, definitely. They're bringing it back. But you know what? After this broadcast is over, we're going to set up the 1v1, guys. So tune in later. We'll see. We'll see Aussie versus Vivid. We'll have some fun with that one.
I mean, come on. There's no way you're teaming me up against the analyst that we've brought on from competitive Fortnite. This man has won tournaments before. I've played in tournaments. I've placed in a fair share of my own.
Hey,
they
look,
may
we're
have been
gonna put
Marvel
them on
Knockout. They
OCE.
may have been against content creators, but I've placed too, okay?
We'll put him on OCE. We'll make it fair. But all right, let's
He's
get
still
back
gonna
to
win.
the action. Let's hop in.
He's
Let's
probably
hop in. We
still
got
gonna win.
Illest, Creo, Avery setting up right now. Our previous game winners. We're coming into game number 9 of 12, ladies and gentlemen. Man, oh man, it's been a fun day so far. Fortnite competition, not only on the field but on the mics as well. Here we are. We're back at it.
We're back at it. I mean, either way, we know. We just saw EU end, and it was so incredibly close. And NA East is setting up for the same as well. Damir and Reverse, they've got a lot of pressure on them right now to hold on to their lead. They are playing so consistent, but at the same time as well, Monster, last game, that came off the back of Reverse 2K with 2 beautiful snipes back-to-back. If he doesn't hit those, things look a little bit different. So they have been playing consistent, but we're seeing a few, I don't know, seeing a few gaps open up in the armor. Potentially our first place team could be seeing the cracks. The Centered Edgy Commandment are playing ridiculously consistent today, but players like Creo, Illest, and Avery are showing they've got the fight in them in that top 5 or even top 10. A few Victory Royales here, and they could jump up as well.
Yep, that's what they're looking for, those Victory Royales, man. It's so close yet so far. And on the other side, you saw the standings, man. This is just getting, again, it's becoming the story of Day, Miro, and Reverse versus Commandment, Edgy, and Scented for who is going to be the true king of the low ground when we come out of this tournament. I think that's what's at stake here. And then, of course, man, has it gotten so close. Like, when did Slacks, Acorn, and Jack, Creo, Illest, and Avery, Acers, and Skittles all of a sudden really put themselves in contention for first place? Because now, all of a sudden, we started the day off as hey, these 3 might be the ones. We're looking at 5, maybe 6 teams, maybe 7 teams now as Clicks hops up too.
Clicks hops up too, so we got the big names in there as well, and we've only got 4 points between 3rd and 2nd right now. Slacks' team and Commandment's team really neck and neck. That's 2 eliminations in this format, so things are looking crazy. And again, I can't say how impressed I am with how Damir and Aversa just adapted to this new drop spot. What is predominantly a difficult drop spot, we've seen a lot of success out of here. It's a very strong drop. You do have the guaranteed gold NPC upgrades as well, but trying to get your surge and play out of this drop is difficult, as we see a different strategy again from the Xset boys. They haven't been having too much success here this weekend, but I love the fact that they are not giving up. They're trying new strategies. They're dropping in different places, trying to get something out of this tournament. At the very least, it's for pride and it's for experience, as unfortunately it's at the hands of, Crumbler, Nexi, and Mars, who go down here as Knight. I think he's making a bounce pad. I'm not sure what he thinks. He's just trying to get out of here, potentially.
He's trying to get the
away.
card.
No, he's
Yep.
going for the
There it is.
reboot card. Man, what a teammate. He hits the guy for, I think, what was that, about 90 white, 1 more tag, and he says, no, I'm going to go for the reboot. That's more important, and then maybe comes back for the fight.
Yeah, had to get that card to stay in the game. Just a rough day for Xset today here on the big stage, the final stage, man. But, I like the switch up. I like the strategy change. I like that they're trying something different. Here's another team trying something different. Kanata stepping in. They're going to get that loud audio cue of the reboot van going off, and now Kanata stepping in fearlessly. There's no reason to be afraid of someone with no shield in this instance when you're him. Look at the loadout. It looks really good, and he's got the team to back him up here soon.
The team's coming in. Kanata's kind of led the charge this one, so he's just got to make sure I like this. Kanata's not getting too aggressive, but definitely wants to take this fight, and this is big. Remember, this is our 6th place team right now. This is a fight that Vivid's going to have keen eyes on to see if they can manage to close this one out. But different teams. We have Crumble down, very low hiding. We have Mars with no shield, and then Knight nice and healthy in this one. Knight got the reboot cards, but unfortunately, those reboot vans have a cooldown timer on them. He's not going to be able to use that for a little while. To hide and avoid this one. Bucky's actually pushed up and engaged on a different team. They wanted to push the team with the reboot, and now they know. Bucky, Kanata, Mac would have probably figuring out what's going on. They heard a reboot van go off, which means teammates, and Knight was an instant finish. That wasn't a down. So there are more players here, and they're trying to find them as Mars is hiding out inside the ruins, as I'm pretty sure we also had Crumble hiding somewhere here as well.
Yeah, but they might be in for a big surprise here. Goku's already set up on the fortress on the side. Spetgu is inside here looking for the face-to-face clash. And no, I think they might have seen what was happening. They're going to bounce back together and get with one another. It's going to be an intuition play, but it's the right play to make, is to stay with one another, because there's so much danger nearby and they don't even realize it yet.
I was talking about how Dirty Docks can be a difficult drop as far as getting Storm Surge. It's on the coastline, it's on the edge of the map, it's tucked in behind those mountains. Craggy Cliffs is in the identical situation. Both have phenomenal loot, both have the ability to breed champions. I mean, we just saw again what happened on EU out of Craggy Cliffs. Hen's team proving that it's a first place drop, but Macwood, Kanata, and Bucky have pushed out early to get their Storm Surge, to get their damage, because they get a zone. This first zone now is far more north than what we've seen so far here today, so maybe take these fights, get a little bit of this extra loot, and then go back into Craggy. I'm not sure, but either way, from looking at Kanata's loadout, he didn't look like he was running out with a normal Craggy loadout, so I don't know if they took their time to loot the whole area, or if they're changing up the script here, changing up a lot more aggressive early pushes.
Yeah, I think it was just all about timing, right? Having the rare loadout is probably good enough. I mean, definitely good enough when you just got the shotgun and you're going to play the chest-to-chest fight. Here is Macro grabs the wall. That's huge. 2 big tags here to really crack things open for him, and he's going to have to pause and get the heal on, but Bucky and Kanata are not going to give it up. They're stepping in and trying to finish up what he started, and now, again, they single out this opponent. They're doing a good job hunting them down right now, singling them out, and look at that. They got the wall. They have the placement. This is the pressure here. They just have to close out now.
Kanata's taken down Goku. There it is. They're going to get the finish on the low ground, and this is big for this team. It's big points, it's big Storm Surge, and it's big loot as Macwood has the precise aim there. They now close this one out. Stealthy Stronghold belongs to them at this point, and like I said, if they've left a bit of loot behind, they can go back. They have everything they need now to play into this mid and end game. They're above on the Surge, and like I said, game 1, really, you want to say it didn't go their way, but it was on the back of 2 headshot snipes. That's not going to happen every time, so that's a team that we can't count out of this one. Coming into these games, they were one of the favorites for me as well. As much as I'm having fun, you know, having this friendly competition with Vivid, they are favorites to do well here today. Here it is, my team, Centered Edgy Commandment, looking fantastic out of their uncontested Misty Meadows. But do they have the Storm Surge? I'm seeing no eliminations. I'm seeing an early rotate monster. Pressure could be there.
Yeah, they've been really depending on the fights here in Weeping, and honestly, with them not having any elims already is probably proof that they don't have much surge here. Take a look at the quick stats. Scented and Edgy are the only players with top 3 FNCS finishes in multiple regions. The only ones to do that across multiple regions. That's because people forget they came from the West region.
They came from the West, coming from a smaller region myself. I always hear that conversation. Do you think the top players can perform if they go to the big regions like NA East and EU? I mean, Edgy and Center did it so well that people just forgot they were West players. They came over and they absolutely dominated. So it's fantastic to see, especially when they link up with Commandment, who's a player who's been around that as well, doing absolutely phenomenal things. And this team's got a big history. Obviously, we have Center now recently signing to FaZe, one of their biggest competitive signings recently, other than I would guess maybe King. But it's going to be interesting to see whether they can close this out. They came 2nd place last FNCS, remember, and they're currently teed up right now in 2nd place. Our leaderboard is a mirror of what it was last FNCS for the 1st and 2nd place.
Yeah, it's just everyone that matters is up there right now, and everyone that's playing well deserves to be up there, and that's just what they're doing here. And let's not forget, the fact that they even have 4 eliminations right now, Kanata, Macwood, and Bucky, that is an 8-point swing. They have officially closed the majority of the gap, the disadvantage that they came in up against Degen, Aegis, and Skittles, so they're effectively neck and neck with top 5 right there.
neck and neck, and that's what we want. We want that close leaderboard. We want that tight leaderboard. There's a lot of people jumping up trying to have those big games, but I think one of the teams we talked about a little bit at the start there, Monster, that jumped up, Clix, Boog, and Bizzle, man. They're in 7th place now. They're climbing. They're really only 10 points behind 6th. One big game from them will really see them jump up on the leaderboard. There is a big focus. Remember, all the prize money on the line for this FNCS is going out today. This is the final day of the finals. This is where it all is. So even a jump from 10th to 5th, even from 6th to 5th, is extra money in the back pocket of these players. A bit of extra pride as well, as Jack, Acorn, and Slack set up. And man, 4 points of difference between 2nd and 3rd right now. That can go any which way, but we haven't seen a single one of these top 3 teams go down like really early, right, Monster? We've seen them go down maybe like 10th. They get a bit of placement points. We've never seen any of them go down in that early game situation. So it's creating such tense end games.
That's what I was going to say, and that's why it's creating so much rivalry between the top 3 teams that are playing this consistent here. It's because, yeah, they're going down, but they're going down late in the stages, right? You're talking about average minutes alive in the 23-plus minute range, so just shy of those top 3s. And just to bring it all back to Clix, Booga, and Bizzle here one more time, that last game, a top 3 finish is what they've been missing. They've gotten a victory royale already, but they haven't got those consistent other top 2s, top 3s to really give them the extra placement points that they're missing out on. The fact that they're doing it now, if they continue that, they will be up there towards the top 5, and possibly a fight for top 3, a fight for first place.
I think the scary thing for this team is they almost have like a draw card in their back pocket, right? We saw the 15 elimination victory royale in their 3rd game yesterday come off the back of pushing over to Hydro Dam and getting that early RPG. And that is a play that they can pull out at any time if they want to. We saw them go for it a little bit earlier today where they pushed over when Predator's team was fighting Zade's team. If they get their hands on that, that is a massive win condition they have that not a lot of teams have, right, Monster? I'm trying to think of what Centered Edgy Commandment could pull off as a different play that could maybe give them such a big jump up in the leaderboard. Or a same thing with Reverse 2K, Day, and Miro. So that is a team you have to keep eyes on. With the one game we saw them with that RPG, 15 elimination victory royale. If they get their hands on it again, which is very feasible, this leaderboard is going to shift very quickly. That was a massive point game. What, a 60-point game when they're currently on 200? That would change everything.
Yeah, but the difference, like Dave, Miro, and Reverse 2K here, they're playing well. Like, if you just look at their average eliminations,
well.
They are well and beyond everyone else. We're talking 2 and 3x the majority of the competition here today. So, like, they're playing so good. Like, not just like they're making it to the end games and all that stuff or winning rounds. Like, they are just popping off. They're winning the most of the fights, and it's those elim points, man, that really carry them. And you know, it may not seem like a lot, like 2 or 3 in a round, but you have to think about it. There are so many trios that do not consistently pick up the elims the way they do.
Yeah, there is. There's absolute no weakness in their gameplay right now. The only thing we haven't seen from that team is their early game fight. So unless we saw another team try their hand at Dirty Dogs, which would be a huge upset for the tournament, we've seen everything else. Their mid game and their end game is phenomenal. I don't think we've seen them lose a mid game at all this entire weekend, Monster. That is a ridiculous reputation to have, especially for a team that's not avoiding the mid game fights. They set up literally on top of them or next to them and take the fights for those extra elimination points. So they really are playing the best Fortnite here right now.
Yeah, listen, again, I keep talking about that average time alive because it's such a big stat here. Their average time alive is basically every end game. Like 24 minutes is every end game. Like that is how average they are. Like they are just there every single time. So yeah, they're not falling in the mid game. They don't have any plan to. And these fights right here, these are the ones that are the riskiest to take, but you need to for the surge. And that's why we're seeing these big teams clash right now. 14 players need to go down. This is going to mean everything for Squish, Not Panda, and Stow here. They're going to find what they need. Couple tags through the window. That was cheeky, but oh my, the Dragon's Breath, the quick drop kick from behind, and he gets put out the game.
And Cads, Riverside, and Lazar, a team that had a lot of promise coming into this one. They're a bit further down the leaderboard right now, going to a new drop. And like I've been talking about, all praise to Reverse 2K. New drops are difficult. I would say Riverside, in my opinion, is one of the smarter players in NA East, puts a lot of preparation into where they're dropping, where they're going to get their surge, how they're going to rotate. They didn't have the early game success with their early game fights against Creo at Lazy Lake. Because Creo's team obviously qualified, they said, hey, we're going to go over, we're going to go to Hunter's Haven. They just haven't quite had the successes. This is a team, interestingly, Monster, we saw really popping off early yesterday. Zypher, Nut, and Twexy, but unfortunately falling really short here on day number 2. Their last few games, 22nd place, 27th place, 22nd, 26th, 25th. When their first 3 games was a 3rd place, 6th place, and 9th, something has come unstuck here.
Yeah, it's night and day for the performances, and you know, who knows what it is, right? We just have to continue to follow along and really try to pick apart what is going wrong for them. Sometimes it's just, again, we hate to say it like this, but sometimes just a little bad luck, right? Sometimes things don't go in your favor. You're not always going to roll things in the favor in the way you want it to kind of unfold, but at the same time, when you had such a strong dominant start, when you're going against all odds and you're making it all work, it's hard to say what exactly is being the difference here.
Yeah, and at the very top level right now, we've gone through weeks of qualifiers. We've gone through heats, consistency. Everything else has led to us having the best of the best on the stage here today. And the smallest of errors, the smallest of margins is what makes the difference between a fantastic game and not. We talked about it last game. Reverse 2K hitting back-to-back snipes got his team into that end game. As I say that, Dusky takes down Day in the feed. That could be potential for disaster for our first place team. And that's what these second, third, fourth, fifth place teams, that's what everyone else in the lobby is looking for, as Dusky does finish Day. So right now it is down to Miro and Reverse as a duo. I think the only reboot van that's probably in right now is the one here at Sweaty, and I don't like their chances of getting it off, even if they manage to get away from that one, Monster. That's not looking good for first place.
No, not at all, especially since they have this long rotate to make. This is a far, far western pool, and they're a team that lands all the way on the East Coast, so this is going to be an uphill battle for them. And you know, that nice, sweet lead that they had, they've already fallen early once, and we've seen how quickly other teams have jumped up to capitalize on it. If they fall again this time, it is going to be just, again, more pressure than you can imagine for these young players.
We talk about preparation coming into this. Who's done their preparation for a potential water zone? We haven't really seen one this weekend, Monster. You know how much I love them. I find them so exciting to watch. And we've got a good one on our hands. We have half land, half water. This is going to be a very difficult one for any team that hasn't done their homework or preparation, and even a difficult one for the teams that have. The reason why we say this is now there is only about half the area of the next zone the players are going to set up on. They're all going to aim for that beach. They're all going to pile on top of each other because no one wants to base up on the water. And if the zone then goes north and it goes across that water, ooh, you're in for a fantastic spectacle. But we get excited for it, Monster. If you're a player, though, you are dreading this endgame.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're in for the good time. They're in for a tough time, depending on how this zone decides to flip on itself. Yeah, just a fair, it's only a couple options left on the beach here. You really got to get on over and grab some real estate. There's a couple shots coming in. That's and Twexi's team, Zypha back there. We saw them get sniped once, but they get picked up as Chap, who made it out of the draw spot, does end up falling there. Threats end up falling there. There goes Trashy. He's down now to Zay as well. So big exchanges happening in the feed here. Dukes is completely wiped out. That means Chap's team is gone from the comp. Man, you know, we were talking about whether or not Chap was going to be able to keep that top 10, so, you know, continue his legacy. This is looking like it all just might be over for him.
Looking a little bit grim. Like I said, he has found himself at the heart of some of the biggest spawn contests when it comes to finals days. We have Defend the Farm. Again, we have the legendary Chap versus Tifu at the Grotto. So unfortunately, Chap has found himself in yet another one, but today not going as well as those ones did, because like I said, he still managed to come top 10 in those situations. As Reverse 2K, our first place team, is down to 10 health, and I don't see him popping any meds, Monster. This is disaster. 62 total health, no AR ammunition whatsoever, 13 shotgun shells, Reverse 2K on what is an absolute slither of health right now, and I just don't know if they're going to be able to do anything. They're holding on, they're clutching on for at least a top 17 to start getting a single placement point, but this isn't good at all. This is fantastic if you're cheering on teams like FaZe Centered in second place, who just got an elimination, and this is their chance to close the gap. This is what we want to see as spectators, though, Monster.
Oh, yeah, this is exactly what we want, man. We're going to see the race for the finish here. And, you know, as every game that goes on, the closer and closer it becomes, the more, you know, these other teams get to really hop up and capitalize on the missing first, second, and third place teams in the conversation here. It's going to be a far draw as well. You can assume it's about as over as it can be for Reverse 2K and Miro. I mean, they're going to need a miracle here at this point.
57 above as well. Only 5 players have to go down though, so I don't think Storm Surge is going to be the issue, but that is a long rotate when you are single tags right now. I think they're literally swapping weapons because Miro's weapon, his epic assault rifle, has no bullets in the chamber. Reverse 2K's rare assault rifle does, so they're swapping hands so Miro, who is on 70 health, can have the best loadout because he is the healthiest player of that duo. That says everything you need to know for our first place team. You have to imagine it would be a monumental effort to even get a single more point out of this game. So Jack, Acorn, and Slacks in 3rd place. Commandment sends it Edgy in 2nd place. This is your chance. This is your time to step up. Are you going to make it count, or are you going to go down early as well? I'm selling them out short though. Reverse 2K might be able to pull something out of this.
I mean, I believe it. I did see an airdrop land right above them. I'm seeing all the
Video.
making across the water as well, so
why can't you talk?
might actually get a
Video.
Here. We might have counted them out a little too early. We'll see. As there it is. Miro does get knocked, but it is only a knock, so Reverse 2K is somewhere in this game. Who knows, right? Who really knows? Oh,
Never mind. Polarize and Snake
over.
capitalize onto both. They go down, but what an unfortunate game. But they win this game with a 15-point lead. They have to see if that holds as Stretch, Sap, and Zate take the high ground with the Alpha Tarp. That is a Zate Tarp and a half. They have the eyes in the sky. They've claimed this whole high ground. But as we've seen a lot in the qualifiers and the heats, have they invested too much too early? Can they hold it now as they currently have 6 eliminations on the board out of a contested Hydro Dam? This is an incredibly impressive performance here on day 2 from Zate's team. Even if they don't bring it back, they are fighting for pride, and honestly, props to them. They are playing phenomenal right now.
Yeah, definitely. And look at this. They go triple metal, keeping it wide and strong here. And now splitting up the material. They must have caught a great refresher. We don't see them with 6 eliminations every day coming into half and half. And now for the first full moving. So this is a dominant spot to be in. We've saw it's always zone 7 that's the most interesting, but for them and the loot and how high they are, I think they're safe.
Are they somehow going to go 2 wins in the first 3 games here on day 2 after having a struggling day 1? Never mind, a bit of a mess up on the builds there. 1,000 above Storm Surge, so they have got the damage here. Are they getting chopped out?
That's why.
Oh, the whole thing got chopped. No. There it is. Zate goes down. Sap goes down. It's just Stretch. I asked, did they invest too much too soon? Apparently they didn't invest enough as Edgy takes down Jack in the feed monster. We have potentially the most important game on our hands of this weekend as first is down and second capitalizes onto third. All eyes on Commandment, FaZe Centered, and NRG Edgy as Stretch is trying to go for the revive here. Unfortunate place for Zate, Sap, and Stretch. I don't know if they're going to be able to bring this one back, but there are big teams in this trying to put up big points.
Yeah, definitely. As Zate finally gets found out there, and man, talk about a position of wealth to be in there. They were so good, and it all slipped away, all off the backs of an unstable foundation, and that's why they get chopped out there. But it's okay. The fact that Sap was even able to get picked up keeps them in the running here. They can still fight for their top 10 spot as Clix, Bugha, Bizzle take advantage of the chaos, and now they have the high ground, and they're operating as a 2-man team as well. 700 damage above the Surge. They're looking comfortable. They have the heals to ride this one out as well, and they're looking to jump up into top 5 now too.
And as a duo, this is going to be interesting. Can anyone kind of make a play for this high ground as a trio and try to take them off? But last time we saw them in this situation, someone came for high ground. Clix over-invested in the builds. He's only got 25, so things are looking familiar. But Bugha takes down Riversan, and they might be able to hold this. This is massive for the leaderboard. I still see Illest in this, so 4th place still up. I saw 5th place. DJ and Age is still in this as well. So everyone is in this, but where is Centered, Edgy, Commandment? There they are on the front side. That is your 2nd place team. Right now, the leaders of this lobby as Reverse 2K, Day, and Miro are out, and Clix drops down and finds the refresh that they need for the material. They have a chance to jump back up. This is your 7th place team who's looking to try and get their 2nd victory out here of the weekend. They've done it once. Can they do it twice?
Yeah, but Kanata's still going. Acorn is still going. They're still in this game. They're still picking up points. And although Clix finds Avery, which is the 4th place team, he needs to stop the rest of these teams that are at the top of the standings. If they keep going, so does the gap. So does the battle for them to catch up. They've had, quite the comeback. This is the Bugha. This is the Clix and Bizzle that we have seen compete in the recent times. This is that dominant hold they've had over the competitive scene lately, but they have to continue to step it up here, and they're putting it up though.
Macwood and Kanata doing it as well. We've seen a lot of legendary 3v3s this weekend. We've seen big teams clash at the end. Who is it going to be as Bucky, Macwood, Kanata all still alive? Scented, Edgy, Commandment all still alive. There are big names in this as full trios. Can Clix and Bugha hold on to this on the high ground? As right now, Macwood, Bucky, and Kanata are playing these mid-ground layers to perfection. There's Paper. They're running through anyone they can find, but the threats are below them. Our second place team is down on the low ground as we know they play best, and we still have Clix and Bugha on the high ground. Big names in this lobby, all trying to jockey for positions and trying to set themselves up for this victory. We still see Slacks in this as well, so many big names. Acorn is still there as well. Stretch collides. Sap is there, so they're still holding on. These are literally the biggest names in NA East, and they've all come out to play in this game.
And Staff, man, talk about a clutch right there from Stretch coming out and puts it up onto Aspect and NPen. Wins that exchange in the box there. Their second height, they're still up top, which means they're trying to just ride their way out and find this top three. Stretch does end up getting taken out there to Slacks. And now, here's that low ground fight we're looking for. This is where these guys play best, though. We've seen Commandment clutch it up over and over, and he's got the success card in his pocket here. It's that shotgun, and he lets Bucky know he's here to use it. It's a huge one, and Commandment has been putting up highlights after highlights all day long.
This is it. How many points can they rack up? They need this victory out right now. This is their chance to cement themselves in first place. Commandment goes out. He has the bounce pad. He doesn't need to use them. This big epic charge. He's put out so much damage this weekend. Honestly, Commandment, you are one of the best in the game to do it. Sentin drops back for the heal off. Bugha goes for the heal off. It is Sentinels Bugha versus FaZe Sentin. Who has more meds? I have to think it might be Bugha at this point. He gets the refresh, but he's looking for it. He's starting to feel a bit nervous. He's not as comfortable, and no, Sentin doesn't have the meds. It goes to a heal off, but what a performance from our second place team, getting the 10 elimination second, but it's all about our World Cup solo champion Bugha hitting the dance at the end with the victory out. Monster, we have an absolute tournament on our hands.
So we're gonna have to radio in for some support here because Commandment, my friend, you are putting up the numbers for the team. Like,